Here we go, guys. Here I am. How you all doing? I hope you're all doing well. Welcome to another episode of Breaking Dawn. I hope everyone's doing good over there. Everyone's doing fine. Thank you so much for joining me today, guys. Really appreciate you. Thank you, guys. It is Thursday morning, Thursday, the 18th of December. We're getting close to Christmas, but more importantly, we're getting close to the transfer window, guys. And it's going to be a very, very educational window, of course, this month, the next month, should I say, because we got the AFCON coming up and we got a lot of things going on, guys. And, transfers need to be done. Rumors need to be had. And hopefully Man United get some business done in the January transfer window. Of course, in the summer as well. We do want business there as well. But we do need reinforcements in this squad. You know, it has died down a little bit. The beginning of the week was absolute chaos, to be honest with you. The amount of rumors that have been circulating around Man United have been absolutely ridiculous. The negativity, the toxicity surround Man United. It's been absolutely, overemphasized and stuff like that. I would say, I would honestly say, guys, it is ridiculous. The noises that come around our football club. I hasten to think what the media would do without Man United. I really do, because the way we drew the game, of course, against Bournemouth, absolutely entertaining game for the neutral. Of course, Man United are really keeping the Premier League up in regards to entertainment. Let's be real, guys. Let's be honest here. I know even the staunchest Man United haters would say that Man United are entertaining. We are entertaining. Of course we are. Another 4-4, a 5-4 last year. We do know how to excite the crowd, don't we, at the end of the day? And the football will be very boring. I mean, someone told me that the League Cup was on last night. I couldn't care less about the League Cup when Man United are not in it. I'll be honest with you. It's a Mickey Mouse trophy when Man United win it, isn't it? Every time Man United do win the Mickey Mouse trophy, they play it down. And to be honest with you, I couldn't care less about that trophy, and I don't think anyone else did either. If Manchester United were in the League Cup, it would be, you know what, they would earn a lot more money. Let me tell you that much. That's what it's all about. That's what it all boils down to, of course. You know, what I would say is that hated, adored, never ignored. Of course, that's a bit like a vampire to how would you say it? Sunlight. When I say that to rival fans, hated, adored, never ignored. They hate that quote there because it's true. And without Man United, there'd be nothing to talk about. And not least this week, when it was absolutely ridiculous the amount of rumors that were circulating around Man United. And not just, you can have rumors, but the problem is let me just bring my mic close to my mouth so that you can hear me. So it wasn't just rumors. It's just like the toxicity surrounds Man United. You know, the toxicity it's just unacceptable around our club. And to be honest with you, sometimes we bring it on ourselves, to be honest. I'll be honest with you guys. Sometimes Man United bring on this toxicity and this negativity on ourselves. I think that Man United are our own worst enemy sometimes, in particular some of the fans. You know, we had the car park brigade and things like that, you know, that just adds banter to the football club and add noise to the football club. You know what would really, really be great if Man United reached a level that we were successful again, and, you know, we wouldn't have to hear these noises and we wouldn't have to go through all this nonsense and stuff like that, you know. And back in the day when I was supporting Man United, it was all about the football, man. It was Saturday, Wednesday, Monday, sometimes Sunday, sometimes. That was all it was all about. The next game, the next game, the next game. We didn't care about the ins and outs and twists and turns. We didn't care about that. It was all about the 3 points to the next game and winning the league and winning trophies. And I do believe that's how it should be, guys. That's how it should be. Winning leagues and challenging for trophies. And that's about it, guys. That's what I would say in regards to that. Let me just say hello to the community. I hope you're all doing well. I'm going to get into some transfer news, guys, for you guys very soon. Good morning to Girl Gift. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're good. Good evening. I got to the bottom of the unsubscribing thing on YouTube, by the way. You have to click off it. So when it says, when you go to someone's video, it looks like you haven't subscribed, but you have to click off that and do it again, and click off it and do it again, and it's there, of course. Big up, Girl Gifter. I hope you're Gaffer. What's going on? Big up, Sanjay. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Now let's get into some transfer news, guys. Hope you're all doing well, by the way. Thank you to early birds who come and join me today. Thank you very much, guys. Really appreciate it. Now I'm going to get into some transfer news in regards to Man United on a January sense. Mahamadou Sangare, of course, there's a Sangare who I admire. He went to Nottingham Forest, was at PSV, but this one's a different one. Mahamadou Sangare is a 23-year-old Mali international, 9 caps for Mali, currently playing in France for Lens, RC Lens. Of course, RC Lens were a decent French team back in the early turn of the century before PSG and Lyon and teams like that came around. There was RC Lens, and I remember it because I went to a game back in 2000, and it was Arsenal against RC Lens, and Bergkamp got the winner. I don't know if you remember that, but I was invited, guys, on the VIP to this game, and Bergkamp got the winner. It was 1-0 to Arsenal against RC Lens, and back then it was a lot of 1-0s to Arsenal, wasn't it? They even made a song about it. But RC Lens, Mohamedou Sangare, 23-year-old Mali international, 9 caps for Mali. He's also wanted by West Ham, Chelsea, and Spurs. So obviously there is something about this player that people admire, that people like, of course. Valued at around 15 million at the moment, guys. He did go from Rapid Vienna to Lens in the summer for 8 million. He left only in the summer for 8 million. So Rapid Vienna, of course, went from there to Lens and for 8 million. And he's valued around 50 million at the moment. Is a central midfielder, attacking midfielder as well. So I would class when players are generally CMs and AMs, I think that they are more number 8s, if you know what I mean. They're more like a number 8 kind of player. A CM and an AM are more like 8 players, if you know what I mean. They're not going to be defensive. They're going to be more inclined to go forward. So I would class them as like a number 8 or something like that, in my opinion, guys. I don't know what you think about that. It's an interesting one, isn't it? When a player says they're central midfielder and they're attacking midfielder, just say you're number 8, mate. And that's what I would say at the end of the day. But Mohamedou Sangare, one to look out for in January, guys. Absolutely. Hopefully, Man United get a nice New Year's boost in regards to this transfer window. I really hope so, because you know what? We need it, guys. Absolutely. We need it. Now, guys, I will be have the privilege of looking at various African players. I will be doing the African nations, of course, guys, some of the watch-alongs for those games, a selective few watch-alongs for those games, guys. And I hope you guys can join me for that. It's going to be exciting. I will be on my scouting mission as usual. I always am on my scouting mission, of course, guys. Ever since I've done work for Hearts of Oak and in Ghana and things like that, guys. So I do my scouting missions in Africa and stuff. So when I watch these games, I'm going to be interested. I'm thinking, looking at it from a Man United point of view. Obviously, we got Morocco against Comoros on Sunday, and Mazraoui should hopefully be playing in that game, so we can do a little watch along for him, and hopefully he stays fit and doesn't anything happen to him, of course, guys. Comoros is an interesting one. It's a new one off the block for me. Never done a watch along for them, so I'll be happy to do it, of course, guys. So looking forward to that. Now let's get into some more transfer news, guys, if we don't mind. Let's get into some more transfer news now. Ruben Neves. Ruben Neves, of course, has been linked to Man United for a while now. Obviously, Ruben Amorim is a huge admirer, ex-Premier League player, Premier League experience, of course, ex-Porto player as well. Played for Wolves, did well there, went to Al Hilal for 40 million. Some may say at 26-year-old, when he moved to Al Hilal, it was way too early for a player of that ilk to go to Al Hilal. It was like a cow. Some people were saying it was a cowardly move. It was a money-making. It was a mercenary kind of move. Some people were saying, And I don't know. I mean, obviously, a very good player. And I feel like he had a lot to give European football. And to be honest with you, I like the player. And he will be a free transfer. The boost is he will be a free transfer. He was deemed to be signing a new contract at Al Hilal. This is where the boost comes in. Ruben Neves was going to sign a new contract, but it seems like he wants to move back to Europe. And guys, in 2025, in June, he will be 2026. He will be a free agent, right? So this brings into January. This brings in the situation with January. Now, Al Hilal would like to make a little bit of money in regards to Ruben Neves. So Al Hilal will be willing to let Ruben Neves go on the cheap. Now, he is valued about 25 million at the moment. So Man United could possibly do a deal about 10 to 15 million in January, guys, for Ruben Neves. Now, this is alerting Man United. Now, look, you look at Ruben Neves, and you know as well as I do, he's a very good player, right? You don't get 63 caps, 1 goal for Portugal if you're not a very good player, guys. So at the end of the day, I look at Ruben Neves and I think that he will be an absolute game changer for Man United, if I'm being honest. Bring him in, 15 million in January, do it. You know what I mean? It's experience, it's legs, it's everything. I know that he's going to be 29 years old in March. You don't need to tell me that. He's 28 at the moment. In March, he's going to be 29. I know that. But it does add a little bit of well-needed experience. And he's not over the 30 mark yet. So, he can give us 2 or 3 years. And when you bring in these type of players, by next season, we will have a much stronger squad. We'll have someone like Ruben Neves in the team, and and then we'll bring in an Anderson, and it will start all coming together in regards to the squad, because at the moment our squad is incredibly weak, isn't it, guys? It is very, very weak at the moment, our squad, and we do need to solidify our squad in regards to the numbers. We really do. And I don't think we have enough numbers in our squad at all. We don't. I think our squad is extremely threadbare, and we need to improve this squad immensely. Now, thirdly, finally, in regards to the transfer rumours, I spoke about this player about a couple of months ago, Jeremy Monga, the Leicester City left winger, right winger, attacking midfielder, England under-19 international, guys. This player seemed to be very, very, very talented in the eyes of Ineos, in the eyes of Ruben Amorim, in the eyes of the Glazers. I wouldn't say the Glazers so much, of course, but Jeremy Monga is a target that Man United have been looking at for the last couple of months, as I spoke about exclusively on Stretford Post. Yeah, a couple of months ago, around that time, Man United was scouting Jeremy Monga. Now, this guy is incredibly talented. He's incredibly talented left winger, right winger, and attacking midfielder. Very versatile. He's a type of player that Man United should be looking at, of course, right? When I'm not saying just look at these players and don't look at anyone else. You have to look at experience and try and get a little bit of a balance to it, of course. But Jeremy Monga, Leicester City, valued at around 10 million, guys. Valued around 10 million. Of course, Leicester City are in the Championship at the moment. And Jeremy Monga would love a move to Manchester United, guys, and it would add squad depth into our team and youth and basically potential to our team. It wouldn't be my first choice. Of course it wouldn't. I think there are many players out there that Man United could get which will affect the team right now, because I am looking at Man United on a future level, but I'm also looking at Man United on what we can do now to help us in the future. Because if Man United qualify for the Champions League, it helps us in the future, doesn't it? But you could buy all the youngsters you want. If you don't qualify for the Champions League, it's not going to help Manchester United. So Man United need to qualify for that Champions League. So players like Ruben Neves, for example, these type of players would help Man United qualify for the Champions League. And obviously you qualify for the Champions League, you get that big windfall, that 100 million you get, of course. And then obviously you attract better players in the summer. And this is what Man United need to look at. It's a bit like a domino effect. You qualify for the Champions League, it's a domino effect, because Liverpool, Chelsea, Man City, Arsenal. We don't want them getting ahead of us. Of course, Liverpool are now level on points of us, if I'm not wrong. And we need to make sure they don't get ahead of us and steal a march in the Champions League positions, because once they start getting into form, we've already got Man City, we've already got Chelsea, we've already got Arsenal, in those Champions League positions. So Man United need to improve this squad. Do need to ensure Ruben Amorim has the best chance possible to qualify for the Champions League. And I hope he does. I really do. And it will help Man United going forward. It help Man United in the future, guys. It would. And I think it'll be an absolutely phenomenal achievement if we manage to do that, with the problems that have arisen this season, of course, and all the issues surrounding Manchester United, guys. It would be a good season. And it'll be interesting to see if we do qualify for the Champions League, the noises surrounding Ruben Amorim, what the notion will be, what the excuse will be now. What would they throw at Ruben Amorim now if he does qualify for the Champions League? Like, oh, team like Man United should be good challenging in the league. They should be challenging it. We're going to get all those stupid narratives again, because obviously he would have shut them down, of course, guys, big time. So, but yeah, look, what I would say is that, look, the narratives are there. The people don't like Ruben Amorim, the media, everything like that. I don't know what it is. He ain't a media puppet. That's the thing. He's not a media puppet. Even though people say he is, he's not a media puppet. He speaks his mind, and he doesn't speak what the journalists want him to speak. He doesn't compliment the players that he wants them to compliment. My only advice to Ruben Amorim would be, just don't do these extra little interviews that you don't need to. Just do the interviews that you are obliged to do contractually. Don't do any more stupid interviews. That's it. That's all I would say. Don't give him the energy. Alex Ferguson rarely did it. Just do your press conference, your post-match, pre-conference, post-match interview, all that business. Do the ones that you are contractually obliged to do. Don't do these money makers, right? Because at the end of the day, it just opens the door for you to again, create noise. Because one thing that people tend to forget conveniently is that Ruben Amorim is not native English speaker, right? He's a Portuguese speaker. So I would urge everyone to go on media and speak another language and see if you get all the ins and outs and nooks and crannies correct. because it's very easy to twist someone's word when English is not their first language. And the British media, they do this to a T. They do this absolutely potently to a T in regards to twisting words and picking little sound bites out of little interviews and building that sound bite up into a big, huge news, of course, guys. Absolutely. Now, I'm glad in regards to Manchester United, in regards to the T-shirt situation with Kobe Mainoo, another absolute mess during this week. I'm glad that people are starting to see the light in regards to that. They know that was wrong. They know Kobe Mainoo is wrong. And why is Kobe Mainoo wrong? Because Kobe Mainoo hasn't come out yet and said, I apologize on my brother's behalf. I did not know anything about it. I will have a word of him. It was uncalled for. That's what I'm talking about. Now, obviously, over the last few weeks, I've been talking about Kobe Mainoo. And Kobe Mainoo, let me reiterate, is one of my favorite players. He's one of the players that I backed the youth. I said it when a contractual situation, you guys will scroll back, when the contractual situation was happening last year, I was saying it to you guys. Don't let the Glazers fool you. They're planting a seed to try and sell Mainoo. I was saying that last year, guys. But over the last few months, I have heard things. I've heard things that have happened behind the scenes. I've heard things what he said and stuff like that. So at the end of the day, I don't just come on Stretford Post and start, speaking nonsense and gibberish, because at the end of the day, I only care about my football club. And the less drama that surrounds my football club, the better for me. Because as I said at the top of the show, it's all about winning trophies. And that's what I want to get back to. Winning trophies, no drama. Let everyone else be jealous of us. Basically, that's what I want, But Kobe Mainoo is not innocent. It's proven over this last 48 hours. It has been proven. He hasn't come out and absolutely condemned his brother for what he did. There you go, guys. The proof is in the pudding at the end of the day. The proof is in the pudding. He's not condemned his brother. If that was my brother and he'd done something against my will and it affected me, going forward, I would open it and go into the media, the first thing, and say, listen, I separate myself from this. Or just write a bloody Instagram post, something like that. Do you know what I mean? Say, in light of my brother's T-shirt situation, I just want to say that I have had a word with my brother and I condemn what he did. I do not condone what he did and blah, blah, blah. And why didn't he do that at the end of the day, And this is why he's going to be sold eventually. Because at the end of the day, we've had great players at this football club. We've had amazing players at this football club, world-class players, elite players, legends at this football club in my lifetime. Do you know what I mean? And when I see players like that, Paul Scholes, I know that Paul Scholes is a big mouth at the moment and he saved up all his words for now. But when I was growing up, Paul Scholes, Roy Keane, David Beckham, Ryan Giggs, David Beckham to an extent, it was other people, it was the media outside, Ryan Giggs and stuff like that. We just let our football do the talking and stuff like that. And they would never put the club into disrepute. Whatever they do behind the scenes in their personal life, that was completely different. But they would never put the club in disrepute in regards to Alex Ferguson and trying to embarrass Alex Ferguson like that. That's not the one at the end of the day. And I would have liked it if Kobe Mainoo came out and condemned what his brother did. I would have really have liked that. I would really have been respectful of that. Said, well, you know what? Everyone makes mistakes. You know what I mean? His brother didn't know, was unaware or something like that. Do you know what I mean? I would try my best to cover it all up. And because at the end of the day, as I said, I don't want any toxicity surrounding Man United. And to be honest with you, these sort of things put a mockery on what is this great football club. And, people, the thing is that there's people who support this football club, right? But they don't really know the history of this football club. It's the man dem football support, as I've said many, many times. The man dem football support don't care about his football historically. They don't care about Man United history. They don't care about our legacies and stuff like that at the end of the day. When I started supporting Man United from many, many years ago, now 40 years ago, I'm touching now, guys. Like the first thing that I looked at was our history and what we've done and who came before us and stuff like that. And that was the first thing that I used to do. And to be honest with you, these people, a lot of people don't really know about Man United like that. They know about Man United from probably 2000 onwards. They don't know anything beyond that. And that goes with everyone who watches football. I think it's very important that if you analyze football, you watch football, You don't know where you're going till you know where you've been. I've always said that. You don't know where you're going till you know where you've been. And it's very important that you do the groundwork into research, because at the end of the day, there's certain things about certain clubs that are very, very important. And the way we conduct ourselves, and the way where we come from, the adversities that we came from, to be in that position, to be in a position where some prat, right, looks like an absolute rat, to be honest with you. I mean, I used to do security at a hospital, man. You used to see these kind of guys walking into the hospital, absolute mess, idiots, right, at the end of the day. And one thing I would say is that Kobe Mainoo seems like a very well-grounded guy to the face of it. But as I've said many times about Manchester United, and I'll say it again, Man United players, a lot of players, including Marcus Rashford and other players, are the king manipulators. They manipulate, they lie. I said this on Terry Flewers a few weeks ago. They are liars. The players are liars. They lie on the pitch, and they're manipulators. And you may think that, oh yeah, he's a good lad and da 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 da. But guys, don't be deceived. These guys are in it for themselves, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. When players get dropped from the football team, I've seen many players get dropped from football teams. I've seen Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, perform 9 and 10s out of 10s when he comes on the pitch and didn't play the next game, or maybe 2 games. I've seen Ole Gunnar Solskjaer go and score 4 goals coming onto the pitch and not playing the next game. Yeah, I'm saying. I've seen Nicky Butt do the same. I've seen David May do the same. Wes Brown do the same. We can go on and on. Lee Sharp do the same. I've seen these players who are great players, good players, very well, but Dion Dublin, these kind of players, you know what I mean? And I can go on and on about the historical history of Man United, about players that didn't play all the time. But every single time they came on the pitch, the common demeanor here is that they performed. They performed, and there was no noises around Man United. And if there was a little bit of noise, they would be out. It's as simple as that. Let me just read some of your comments. Big up everyone on the stream. I hope you're all doing well. Welcome to Stretford Post, everyone. Big up everyone, guys. I hope you're all doing well. Big up Fanatic8. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Welcome back, my guy. Hope you're blessed. Big up, man. Hope you're good. Big up, Coco. What's going on, my friend? Hope you're doing well, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you, of course. Isn't Kobe brother his agent? I was told this on Monday after the game, so this makes it a little worse. It's a well-known, Yale, that he is his agent. Yeah, and this is when I spoke about yesterday about brothers and family members being your agent. Exactly the same as Marcus Rashford. The problem with some brothers and some agents, because I used to manage my brother for 20 years in music, but I was very strict, right? The problem with some of these guys, right? Number one, they haven't been disciplined in their life probably, so they don't know about discipline, and they don't know about, work ethic. But what I would say is this: when you have your brother or your family member, your sister, whoever it is, your mother, like Rabiot, of course, when you have them as your agent, they're much more inclined to blow smoke up your backside than tell you about the birds and the bees, if you know what I mean. So basically, if you're doing something wrong, they're much more obliged to cover it up because you're so successful and you're giving the family money, rather than thinking, I need you, you're my client, I need you to get the best you can possibly be. Example, Mino Raiola and people like that who used to do, God rest his soul, who used to do agency. You're much better having a Mino Raiola. I know that what he is, he's a money grabber and what he used to be and stuff like that, rather than, or a Mendes or something like that, rather than having your family member. Because at the end of the day, agency work is a professional occupation, and you can't just let anyone be your agent. And when you let anyone be your agent, you lose relationships, right? You lose relationships. For example, if you're not experienced in that sort of sector. Now, guys, look, when you have an idiot like that guy, a rat like that guy who was wearing a T-shirt, right, at the end of the day, does he look like a professional to you? Would you look at him and think, I respect you? You think that we think like that as Man United fans. Think what other people are thinking around the world in regards to Kobe Mainoo, in regards to potential suitors, in regards to other clubs that might want Kobe Mainoo, other clubs that might want to sign Kobe Mainoo. You know what I mean? He could jeopardize his whole career. An agent could jeopardize his whole career. Now, you either have an agent or you don't have an agent. Don't have an agent who's not going to be disciplined on you. He's not going to push you to your absolute limits. Because at the end of the day, that is what it should be. You should be pushing your brother to the absolute limits, right? Okay? And that's what it should be. It should be two absolute business-minded, success more important-minded individuals that want the best for each other, right, at the end of the day. This sort of thing is just one-dimensional. It's just like, everything we do is their fault. It's their fault. This happened with Rashford. We live in a generation, guys, where it's no accountability. I said it. There's no accountability. There's no, I'm to blame for that. I'm sorry, lads. You know what I mean? That was me. I'm sorry. I'm going to improve. I strive to improve. No accountability, for example, Manu not coming out in the media literally hours later, which I would have done, and said, listen, I saw what my brother did. I've had a word with my brother and it won't happen in the future. I apologize for that. I had no idea. Right? That is what he should have done. But again, lack of accountability, lack of professionalism in regards to that, lack of class as well, guys, because that's what it is. Lack of class as well. And that's something that we have to look at, class, right? At the end of the day, you have people that you're staring at, right? Like this, with your idiotic face, and saying like, you're looking at people, right? Probably the South Stand, probably where the bench is and everything like that. Probably the South Stand. And you're looking at those fans who have probably been going there for 50 years. They've probably been going to see Man United for 50 years, right? And this is what we're talking about, guys. When I walk into Old Trafford, whenever I sit next to someone or I sit on the Stretford end where I used to sit for 8 years, and when I see people, like fans, I see people there for 50, 60 years. They've been supporting. They've been coming to Old Trafford week in, week out, home and away. This is where the lack of respect comes in, isn't it? This is where the lack of respect comes in, the lack of empathy for the club, basically, you know? But again, I reiterate, this epitomizes where Man United are, you know? And this is what I've been talking about, the culture at the football club. The whole round culture at the football club, the mentality at the football club. It attracts this, you know, and this is what Ruben Amorim has been trying to eradicate, trying to delete from Manchester United. Been trying to delete this, and he's been trying to fix things. It's very difficult. You know, you got clowns everywhere, guys. We are a circus. It's not the theatre of dreams, it's a circus of nightmares. And to be honest with you, we got a bunch of clowns. We might as well have a bunch of clowns going out juggling. That's what you might as well be. You know, we might as well have people being blown out of bloody cannons and things like that. That's what, you know, because at the end of the day, the way this club is sometimes, it is a circus, guys, on and off the pitch, you know, and, you know, this is something that I hope that, you know, Ruben Amorim and those behind the scenes are trying to change, as Ineos said, and it may be a soundbite, but as Ineos said, we don't want any dickheads at the football club, you know, and there you go. Maybe that guy right there, maybe Kobe Mainoo's brother, you know what would be a good move for Man United right now? Ban him. That's it. You're not coming in now. If you want to come into Old Trafford, you sit with the Stretford then, mate. You're not coming into near the players or anything like that. We don't want you around. That is one of the first things I would do at the end of the day. And to be honest, we shouldn't even talk about these guys, but it is very important when we talk about it. Coco. Paul Scholes has been strongly quiet about the Kobe thing. Amorim is marking the death of the player power, and I'm here for it. Big up, Coco. Absolutely, mate. And it is funny and ironic, isn't it, Coco, that when it suits his narrative, right, he's opened his mouth and he knows everything about Ruben Amorim. He knows everything about the birds and the bees and things like that, and about Ruben Amorim should do this, he should do that. He doesn't understand Man United's culture. Now, one thing I'll take, Coco, you know, education is a very important thing. Just because one of these, especially in regards to your football club, when you speak about the football club, because they are very misinformed, right? They may have played for Man United. They may know about Sir Alex, what he's like in the dressing room. But outside that, they don't know about Man United. They don't know the effort it takes as a Man United fan, right? Because when we became Man United fans, all we did was research the club, think about the club, the ex-players. We won this, we done this, that. And we would do that at the end of the day. What type of football did we play? What did we do? Now, the lies coming out that Man United have never played three at the back. Man United have always played a 4-4-2, a 4-5-1. No, they haven't. A 4-3-3. Man United have never played a 4-3-3. You know, only the 4-3-3 has only been implemented in the last 10 years. You know, and then you want to talk about Man United have played three at the back. We used to play three at the back in the 70s and 80s, right? Man United never had a distinctive style of play. Now, from the 60s, 70s, 80s, and the beginning pre-class of 92, Man United have only brought through 14 youth players, right? So this myth about the class of the Busby Babes, that was one thing. Now go after the Busby Babes and the latter of the Busby Babes. Think about the latter end of obviously Sir Bobby Charlton and obviously the Harrison and all these players that came through during the 70s. And players like that. You look at who came through in the 70s, in the 80s, and pre-class of 92. And Giggs wasn't class of 92, he was late 80s, early 90s. It was just before, but he's classed as it, right? We were not potent with bringing through elite youth players, right? This is why people need to do their research. Yes, the Busby Babes are us. It's what we are. It's what we should aspire to. The only reason Sir Alex Ferguson became successful with the class of 92 and Man United were not successful from the years of 1968 all the way to 1992. In comparison, yes, we won a few trophies here and there. You know, we had a few brownie points in regards to stopping Liverpool winning trebles, and we won a couple of FA Cups and League Cups. But in reality, from 1968 all the way to 1992, Man United were not successful, and Man United did not have a style of play, right? And let me just tell you that right now. And Man United did not bring through endless amounts of youth academy players. We couldn't bring through academy players, guys. It's a myth, right? The only reason Sir Alex Ferguson became successful in bringing through the youth, because finally we implemented the philosophy of Sir Matt Busby, and we brought it in with the experience. But we had the opportunity to bring it in with the experience. And why did we have the opportunity? Because we had winners in that team. Roy Keane, Peter Schmeichel, Andy Cole, right? Steve Bruce, Dennis Irwin. We had experienced winners in the team. So we brought through those players into the team in an environment that is successful, positive. You know, and this is what I'm talking about. This is where real analysis and real fans, we talk, right? And this is what we're talking about. Knowledge, historical value knowledge, guys. And I can bring through all the players that came through in the 70s and the 80s and all the players that were deemed world-class. And the notion that we brought through like 3-4 players every year, which is a myth. We basically brought 5 players through in the 70s. 5. 14 since the Busby Babes. I want to talk before pre-class of 92. Let's talk, guys, players who deemed elite, right? They were deemed elite. But I would urge people to look at that. We got legends who played for us from 1968 to 1992. In between that, we had legends who played for Manchester United, right? But they were not nowhere near the Eric Cantonars, the Paul Scholes, the players of that ilk. They were nowhere near. They were, I would call them greats. Of course, George Best is a legend, 1968, going on and on. But the rest of it, when we're going on, Dennis Law was a legend, but obviously, went to Man City, obviously done his thing, and George Red, God rest his soul, was a legend. Yes. And you look at that, and then you go on, and I'm talking about post Busby Babes, by the way. You can count on one hand, right? And when you look at all the other players who came through, McElroy and Harrison, and you look at all these players that came through, they were good, great players, great pros. But were they elite players at that time? They weren't. And this is what we're talking about. This whole myth, let's throw the youth, you don't understand the football club. I would urge Paul Scholes to research his own football club he supposedly supports. Because you know what? He's getting a lot of home truths wrong. He obviously thinks it's great to sit next to a Leeds United fan on that ridiculous channel. And, a Leeds United fan, by the way, an overrated D-list celebrity, right? Just like Rooney sits next to a D-list celebrity on his show, right? The thing is what it is that these people have got to stop creating sound bites and start doing their research, start learning about what Man United were. Every single one of those players, Nicky Butt, Paul Scholes, right? These players, Gary Neville, were fortunate to come in at an era where anyone who walked in that football club, if you had the right mentality, you were going to be somebody. Yes, there were players who came through the class of 92 or came through at that period who were not good enough. Terry Cook, Ben Thornley, Phil Moran. Ben Thornley had a terrible injury, of course, at Bury. I remember it. But, there are players like that who came through who didn't quite make it. Of course, not everyone's going to make it. But the ones that did make it were incredibly fortunate. Why were they incredibly fortunate? Now, there's a number of factors that surround how they became successful. One of them, of course, was Peter Schmeichel, Eric Cantona, Dennis Irwin, Andy Cole, Roy Keane, of course, Alex Ferguson as well. Perfect example. Another example of why these players became example. And let me tell you something about the Champions League, right? Back in the early 90s, the Champions League, you had to have a quota of homegrown players. If you didn't have a quota of homegrown players, you could not play, basically. And that included Ireland, by the way. Man United had to have a certain amount of English players in the team. So that urged and that pushed Man United to play against Barcelona at the Nou Camp, for example, in 1994, play Barcelona at the Nou Camp with Paul Scholes, with all these players, Gary Neville's and these players, right, who were very, very young. And because the European football, you had to play a certain amount of homegrown players. You couldn't play foreigners, as many as you want back then. But what did that do for them? It gave them valuable experience and valuable life lessons. Because when you think about the Barcelona of those days, you had Hristo Stoichkov, of course, Romario, of course, and Ronald Koeman, of course. And then when you got players like Paul Scholes coming through and playing in the pitch with Stoichkov and Romario and Ronald Koeman and Pep Guardiola, and who are great players, guys, by the way, fantastic player, Nadal, great players, guys. You would learn things, you would learn something, and so many things aligned, the stars aligned, as they say, so that these players became great players and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Good morning, Bobby. How you doing, my friend? I hope you're doing well. Really good to see you, my friend. Big up LT. How you doing, you legend? Hope you're doing well, mate. Hope you're well. Big up Sal. Amram has proved he can get European football, but already really needs a midfield to ensure that it does. If Ineos, absolutely, mate, we do. It will be a major, but what it will be like a confirmation signed, sealed, delivered. Basically, that if they don't support Ruben Amorim in January, if they don't support him then we all know, clarified, signed, still delivered, they're not interested in what happens to Man United on the pitch. And we have to clarify that. If they go out in January and they go out and get a Ruben Neves and they go out and get another player and a backup player, then you're going to be like, yeah, well, I was wrong about them. They're actually caring about the football club. If we go in and do what we do every single year, no value in the market, we're waiting till summer when we're going to absolutely kill it in the summer. I'm not here for it. I heard the lies last January, right? And we predicted last January that Man United are probably not qualified for the Champions League because of this, or European football. LT, as for Mainu, the club and the manager told him to keep quiet. Then I'll understand. But letting his brother mock the club like that is selfish and unprofessional. Man United doesn't need drama. They don't, LT. But somehow we seem to attract driver by absolute, as quote, Ineos, dickheads. Of course, guys. But what I would say in regards to it, I have heard that Ruben Amorim is extremely angry by it. I've heard that. No surprise, of course. It undermines the manager. It puts a mockery on the manager. And this is what we have to stop doing. Mocking the manager. We keep doing it, right? And when you mock the manager, automatically there's this subconscious thing that the manager's not serious, this manager's not serious. We can clown around with this manager. I really do hope. Look, we needed Mainu this next 2 weeks. We needed Mainu because the AFCON is on. We needed him. We needed him in the team. But at the same time, we also need to implement an element of discipline, right, at this football club. We also need to let others know who are coming after him. You can't do shit like that. You can't do that. You're not allowed to do that. If you do that, you will be out of the football club. That will be it. And that's what it is at the end of the day. Now, a lot of people are talking about emotion after it. Oh, it doesn't matter. It's a small thing. But a lot of people have changed their mind, which is great. I would change my mind if I was wrong. I would say, listen, I was wrong about that. I'm sorry about that. I didn't really, I overreacted. And it's one of the reasons I don't react after games, because I might say something I regret. But what it was a wrong thing to do. But what annoyed me more than anything, more than that, to be honest, is that he didn't come out and acknowledge it. He didn't come out and say, guys, look, you know what? He could have went to Ruben Amorim and said, my brother done this. My reputation's on the line. Could I come out on the social media and say that I didn't condone it? I don't condone it. And you know what? I was not aware of it. I'm sure Ruben Amorim said that's fine, you know, at the end of the day. But for him not to come out and say anything about it is disgrace, man. It's a disgrace. And that annoys me more than the actual thing. That annoys me more than what actually happened, to be honest, you know? Absolutely. Coco, big up LT legend. What's good? I hope you're well, brother. This thing Amram will have to play Mainu more now that AFCON is on, and for his own sake, he is better be phenomenal. Otherwise, he's toast, and that's the pressure, really. You know what I would think, Coco? You know, if he doesn't perform for Man United, bring in a youth player. That's it. Or what I would say is that playing one game, play Ugarte and Casemiro in the midfield. You know, when Casemiro's back from his suspension, play Ugarte and Casemiro in midfield. You know, there are players at Man United in the youth team that are really relatively good. Bring through Kone. You know, I would say that there are players, just bring them in. You know, and say, right, you are this, you are that. You know, you've had your chance. That's it. I don't like this club being made a mockery of, you know, because you may think that he's mocking the manager, but they're actually mocking the football club. This is what I'm talking about. They're not just mocking one individual. They're giving a representation of what the culture is at this football club, that you can get away with anything. This club is jokes. You know what I mean? Jokes for days. You know what I mean? And that's what it is at the end of the day. And, you know, this sort of culture and mentality needs to change completely. Big up Coco. Big up Prince. Manchester United should be ruthless and ban Kobe brother from the culture and image of the football club. Prince, that's a good point. Right? I don't want to. The problem is, as I said, I wanted Kobe manager to come out and distance himself from this and say that I had nothing to do with it. I didn't condone that. But you're absolutely right, Prince, that they should ban him. They should ban him. Or what they say is that you can't go anywhere near the football team. When you come to Old Trafford, you go in with the crowd. Right? And that's what you do. And I'm pretty certain right now he wouldn't be welcome at Old Trafford in the crowd. Definitely. Absolutely not. Big up Ephraim. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Good to see you, Ephraim. Hope you're good. Thank you so much for coming on again, my guy. Big up Ronaldo. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing good. Good to see you, mate. Hope everything is blessed with you. From California. Big up California. Whereabouts in California? Hope you're well, mate. A good point on the youth. I was actually looking at the other day and seeing what you would class academy we bought through Post 92, and it was pretty none. There was none, Mr. Rosa. There's this myth that Man United are a youth. We played a youth. Yes, we've had a youth player on our bench since the 1930s. That's true. But the production of youth, the production of elite youth players, Man United before 92, from 1968 to 1992, it was none and void, guys. And I think that people would use this when it's convenient and it fits the narrative as a stick to beat Ruben Amorim with, right? There's one key thing here. And one of the biggest mistakes that Man United made since 1968 and 1992 was bringing through players too early and they failed, right? They let the pressure get to them. Man United were a pressure cooker. And it's very similar to now, what's going on. So back in 1968 to 1992, Man United, there was a lot of expectation, Man United being the European champions in 1968. In between that period, Man United got relegated in 1974. There was a lot of expectation for Man United to win things and get to the pinnacle of football again, a bit like today. And when they tried to do that, they tried to emulate Matt Busby. They tried to do that, but they did it wrong. They rushed players in. They rushed these youth players in and stuff like that. And they obviously didn't get to the levels that they should get to. Until we implemented it right, until we done it after 1992, when the class of 92 came through, we started doing it. And people think that this class of 92 were brought through in 95, 96. Absolutely not. On the contrary, they were brought 1993, 1994. They were brought on in League Cup ties and Champions League games. sporadically and getting a little bit expensive. Like I spoke about Paul Scholes at the new camp when we lost 4-0, by the way, to Barcelona. And basically, they were brought in sporadically until eventually, when we lost the league in 94-95 to Blackburn Rovers, we felt that there's a change here. These players are good enough. Let's bring them through. But they went in the team with absolute winners, absolute winners, right? You think that Paul Scholes, Philip Neville, Gary Neville would have succeeded at Everton? You know what I mean? At the end of the day, just going in at Everton because Everton have no real winners in their team, apart from an FA Cup in 1995, but that they have no winners in their team. If you brought through those, do you think they've become the same players that they really become? Do you think if Beckham stayed at Preston North End, he'd become a legend? Absolutely not. They had Cantona, they had Irwin, they had Scholes, they had Giggs, who was there before them. They had obviously Steve Bruce, Peter Schmeichel. They had these players. Andy Cole was a great striker, of course. There are players all over that pitch that can nurture the players there, the young players there. And this is the myth I would like people to understand, and I would like people to do their research about what Man United were. 14 youth players, guys. 1968. You were classed as successful, elite kind of players. But now tell me, how many players can you name from 1968 to 1992 that came through Man United's academy, right, and became elite players? And it's what we're talking about. There was a period by one guy named Sir Matt Busby, a legend, who brought through youth players, the Busby base. Because why did we bring through the Busby base? Why? The period in time, money, transfers. They weren't the thing. But we brought through the Busby babes, and we were the pioneers of the youth team, right? When football was like aging, you know what I mean? You went around the pitch in a bloody cigar and stuff like that. We revolutionized football. It's true. But that was a period in the 50s and the 60s. But let's look at the latter stages after that. Let's look at after 1968, and let's look at after that, and then obviously bringing through. Oh, Man United had never played a free at the back. Man United never done that. I think this is embarrassing because I think they haven't done their research. Man United had never played a settled formation, and this is exactly what Man United's problem is now. Right? Man United had never stuck to a philosophy from 1968 to 1992, never stuck to a philosophy. It was always throw something against the wall, hoping it sticks. That is what it was. Right? We played three at the back. We played a 4-4-2. We played a 4-5-1. Never played a 4-3-3. No, we didn't. 4-3-3 wasn't a thing back then. It was more like a 4-4-2. But Man United did play a 3 at the back. Of course we did. Go and do your research. You know what I mean? Paul Scholes is there in Google, mate. You know what I mean? And when you're trying to blurt garbage and stuff like that, it just really so disheartening. Guys, Rashford is the closest, but again, agent, his brother, again, blowing smoke up his backside. Think he's made it too soon. And if we're being honest with ourselves, when Marcus Rashford broke through the first team, because of injuries, by the way, to Wilson and Martial, he regressed. He didn't improve. He regressed. Look at the way he was playing when he walked into that team in the European game and against Arsenal, how he was, how his personality was. He was infectious. He was like, a smiling assassin sort of thing. Then he became this miserable person, and this person that was full of himself and, a cloud walking over him all the time and doing the wrong choices. And again, this is down to being run by the wrong people, having your brother and your family running your whole thing and saying, "Oh, let's go out partying, bruv. Let's do that, man. Let's," you know what I mean? At the end of the day, and that's what it's about. And culture at the football club. This is what I've been reiterating and I've been smashing and banging on about for ages, of course. Big up, so my friend, big up, my guy. Sal, if there was Semenyo before midfield, if they signed Semenyo before midfielders, it would be a huge mistake. It would be a huge mistake. It would be. I mean, ideally, I would love Semenyo and a midfielder. That would be absolutely fantastic. But Man United should not be signing Semenyo before midfielder. Absolutely spot on. We have Cunha and we have Mbeumo. We have Bruno who can play there as well. Man United need to fix that midfield, and then Man United need to fix their wing backs. That's what Man United need to do. Semenyo will be the icing on the cherry on the cake, right? You don't put the icing on the cherry on the cake before the sponge, if you know what I mean. Semenyo needs to be icing on the cherry of the cake. He shouldn't be the first one that we sign. It'd be foolish. It would be. I'm sorry. It would be foolish. Semenyo has already reiterated that he doesn't want to play as a left wing back. He doesn't want to play as a right wing back. He doesn't want to do that. He's already said it. You know, and so at the end of the day, well, where are we going to play? Number 10? I don't. Nah. Man United need midfielders. And if we sign midfielders, I think that Man United will end up being better and probably qualify for the Champions League. But just see. Darren, back in the day, Sal, when there was no subs and only one few years later made it harder for the youth unless they were a special talent. But you're right about the lack of youth into the first team. It was difficult, mate. And what Man United tried to do, Darren, is we tried to force young players into the team, which ultimately didn't work and they flopped, right? This is what happened over the 70s and the 80s, late 60s, 70s and 80s. They flopped, right? We forced them into it. Luckily, when the integration of the more substitutes rule came in, and obviously, the lack of basically funds for transfers and things like that, we had a chance to, like back in the early 90s, you could buy the odd player like Cantona or something like that, but you couldn't go out and buy 10 players. You know, so what it was like you have a big bench, and in that bench you have the nucleus of youth players. And we had the class of 92, of course, the Youth Cup winning team, and we brought through them, you know, sporadically every day, and they were nurtured and they had an opportunity. Like I said, the Champions League was different, and they had an opportunity to play against Koeman and Stoichkov and Romario, men, you know what I mean, back then. And that obviously helped them going forward. They thought, and then Paul Scholes will look at flipping Stoichkov and Koeman and think, that is a level. Okay. You know what I mean? And it was different back then. These days, youth players, it's different. We're in a different world, right? Players, as soon as they get, I talked about Jeremy Monga earlier, the Leicester City player, okay? Players, before they even kicked a ball for Man United, they will sign a contract with a signing-on fee, right? They'll get a signing-on fee. They'll get about £1 million or whatever it is, and they're already made for life. Do you know what I mean? And that is the difference between then and now. I ain't against money in football, but I think money should be earned. You know, and I don't think these footballers earn it. I really don't. I don't think they earn it. I don't think Rashford earns his money. I don't think he earns his money. I do what he does, walking around the pitch, stuff like that. You know, guys, I don't advocate violence and things like that on the pitch. But when do you ever see now players with cuts, bleeding, this, that? You don't see it these days. One big athletic, basically aerobic session. Basically, that's what it is. You know those people with the ribbons that do that? That's basically what we are. We're not, there's nothing intense about it. It's nothing like, I want to win by hook or by crook. I put myself on the line to win this game because I want to win this game. You know, and there's nothing in regards to that, you know, and people coming through the youth now, people coming through the ranks, they don't really care about Man United now. They don't really care like they used to care. I'll be honest, guys, they don't care about like the grassroots, the historical level of Man United, what we are, and that. They don't give a damn. All they care about, social media. Look at my followers. Look at this. Me. Not, I want to emulate Duncan Edwards. I want to emulate George Best. I want to emulate Sir Bobby Charlton. There's none of these people think like that now. You know? They're like, I want to be like Rashford. I want to be rich like that and walk around in a big furry coat going to bloody boxing matches. That's what I want to do. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that, bruv. Let's get our contract and let's do it. There's no soul in it. There's no love for it. You know, there's no love for it anymore. You know, and pundits are not helping. Paul Scholes, Nicky Butt, Gary Neville are not helping. Roy Keane not helping, because when you spit lies and misinformation, that is when it gets dangerous, because people start to feel sorry for these players. They start to feel, oh, poor Kobe. Now, in a weird way, I'm glad that Kobe Mainoo's brother did that, because it exposed the problem that I've been talking about for ages, and people were trying to shut me down because I was talking about Kobe and saying what's happened behind the scenes when people wouldn't listen to me. You know, there you go. Good afternoon, Appel. How you doing, everyone? You're the only one in sight on what's going behind the scenes. Man United are caught between a hard place and a stone, right? Or stone and a hard place, isn't it? Man United don't have much option, at the moment. I think that United sort of know that. And I think that Kobe knows that. I think that his brother knows that Man United are a little bit in a predicament where we're going to be losing Mbeumo, Ahmad, and Mazraoui. We already lost them now for the AFCON. But it's up to Man United what they want to do. No, I'm not going to say this completely drown out Kobe Mainoo out of the football team. I think that's wrong in regards to that. Absolutely, especially at this time. However, I would say it would be nice and it would be professional if Kobe Mainoo came out and gave an apology, on behalf of his brother. And his brother should be banned. And that a stand needs to be made. Something needs to be made. I myself, if I was Manchester United manager right now, if I was Man United manager, Kobe Mainoo wouldn't come close to the first team after that. No. He's undermined the manager. He's clowned the manager. He's bantered the football club, more importantly. I would bring in a youth. Kone coming in. Listen, guys, Kone's coming in. That's it. It's as simple as that. I can't take the disrespect. Disrespect the club. Disrespect the fans, the football club. And that's what happens. Now, when you don't come out and apologize, that annoys me more than the actual thing, because bozos will be bozos. You know what I mean? But you know what? You as an intelligent guy, played for England in the Euros and this and that, should come out and say, my brother was wrong there. Do you know what I mean? I don't care how good he is. I don't care if he's Zidane level. I don't care. You know what I mean? I would have the same energy with any player at Man United. You know what I mean? Who've done something like that. LT. Are you right about player power? Bigger LG has undermined managers since Moyes, post Sir Alex Ferguson, and this is one of the biggest reasons we have a virus of weak mentality and Man United down for the club. I've given loads of stories, LT, absolutely right. I've given loads of stories about when Moyes walked into the football club, and how disappointed some of those legends were towards him. And obviously he didn't help himself by ripping up the whole foundation, bringing in his own guys, showing Man United Everton videos on how to defend and things like that, But it did start from there. You're absolutely right, LT. It did start from there. It started from there, and it just obviously got worse and worse and worse. It's very hard to contain egos. Once it gets out of control, it's like a bacterial infection, right? It's very hard to maintain big egos, and to maintain big egos, you need a big personality. And they undermined David Moyes. They destroyed David Moyes. And sadly, it went on from there. The culture catched on and it got addicted from there. Do you know what I mean? Sal, do you think Amram will play some youth players now that AFCON is on? Maybe one or two will be in the bench, I think. I don't think he'll necessarily play youth players, no, unfortunately. I think there's more chance on Licha Martinez moving into midfield than anything else. I think that the youth players at the moment is very dangerous. We're in a very delicate situation with these youth players because people just think, oh, you should play youth, our philosophy, our history, when they don't know nothing about the history. These youth players have to walk into the football club in an environment that is right for them, in an environment that is going to be beneficial to their future, not harmful to their future, And that's what I would say about that. At the moment, if it's Shea Lacey, who I admire, who I like, or a Musa, who I like, or Mantato, who I like, a Fletcher, who I like, a Ibrahimov, who I like, a JJ Gabriel, who's a generational. If they walk into this football team and they look at the habits of, for example, Kobe Mainoo's brother and this and that, and they're looking at this football club and thinking, we could do that. We could get away with this. We could do this. We could do that. Do you know what I mean? And then they're going to be like, I don't need to try that hard, really, do I? You have to be right. You have to do it right. And when people talk about the youth, let's talk about Amram and youth. Let's talk about Giovanni Quenda, Ignacio, Diamande, Hoyman, Jokeres. Let's talk about these players who play at Sporting Lisbon, who he made, right? Fernandes, let's talk about these players, and people don't understand that was an environment that you could bring these youth players in. Fun show. Arda Güler was bought not even a club product, but he to wait for minutes, 4 months just to play him, but here in United, average players like Garnacho and now Kobe are demanded to play. Good point, Fun show. You're absolutely spot on in regards to Arda Güler. Fact. Arda Güler, before he signed for Real Madrid, was an absolute baller, guys. I don't like using that word. Absolute baller. And he bided his time and waited, right? There was no crybaby thing. Yeah, he could easily turn around and say, I'm already a Turkish international. I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and done this and this, that, the other. He can already do that. You know, like Yildiz at the moment, Yildiz at the moment at Juventus and things like that. They, you know, they're great players, you know, but they're not playing every single week. You know, and Arda Güler, yeah, he waited his time and now slowly but surely he's starting to get in the team, right? I hear hype about Garnacho. It makes me laugh. Garnacho scores a couple of goals against Cardiff City. All of a sudden, he's prime Ryan Giggs. I mean, it makes me laugh. You know what I mean? It really does. It's not about Garnacho. Talent has always been there. The problem is attitude is the problem. Attitude is the problem. And this goes with all of them. Mainu, Garnacho, Rashford, all of these players, attitude. You know? That is what it's about, you know? I feel like the silence on his brother's t-shirt fiasco is just continuation of his disrespect and unprofessional conduct to training in the public eye. It's just shocking. Pell, what would you do? What would I do? What would we do? We would go out in the media straight away after and say, I do not condone that. I did not tell him to do that. I was unaware that he did that. I apologize to Man United fans and apologize to the manager and the football club. Simple as that. Few tweets, a few little movements of the thumb, guys, on Instagram. You're done. That's it. You know, but he didn't do that. And that for me is telling. Absolutely. Absolutely. Big up Beef Bully. What's going on? I think Semenyo is a good buy, but I want a defender. I want a midfielder more than anything. Beef Bully, midfielder is the most important thing at the moment. That's where we have a problem at the moment, not Semenyo. Semenyo's a luxury player, guys. Sell, Mainu, Euro, Amas, Dogba, Dorgu, Heaven, average. No, mate, you're talking rubbish, Boxer. You're talking rubbish. Absolute. Sell Heaven, sell Amas, sell Euro. No, mate. You know nothing about talent, mate. Of all the streamers, YouTubers, and footballers, only this guy says the truth. Thank you, Harry Burger. Big up yourself. Big up. It's good to see you, my friend. Good to see you again. Big up yourself. Absolutely. Kobe's brother incident should not be left unpunished. Kobe has to come out in his own defense for his brother. It's a shame how all the idiots, kids are dragging us through the mud. Exactly, mate. It's embarrassing on the football club, to be honest. Absolutely. It's embarrassing on the football club. Sugar Kim. We need to sell Bruno. I agree. And then bring in one or two midfielders and wing back. We cannot be having Bruno who disrespected the club. I mean, what do you want us to do, Sugar Kim? You know, Man United, we got the AFCON coming up. We got Bruno and Mainu who disrespected the club. We're in a mess, man. Honest to God. And this is not down to Ruben Amorim, by the way. You know what I mean? It's these things, guys. Absolutely. It's the attitudes and stuff like that. If Pogba said what Jigga Kim, if Pogba said what Bruno said, you fan base. What do you mean, you fan base? What do you mean, you fan base? What do you mean by that? You fan base. Are you not a fan? Pogba was dancing after we would lose to Watford, mate. He was dancing in the training, coming late to training, dancing, Get out of here, man. No, just because, you know what I mean? Just stop this nonsense, man, about Pogba. Pogba flopped. Pogba's flopping. Pogba flopped again and again, all right? Alex Ferguson got rid of him for a reason. And that's it. It's simple as that. Stop bringing the Pogba shit into it, man. Absolutely. Guys. And Trigger Kim, you know nothing about our fan base. Stop pretending, mate. Yes, fun show. Because we all know Bruno gives 105 every game, not like some other players. Exactly that. Yes, that is part of it. Yeah, he has been made a scapegoat many times. In reality, obviously, being told he's going to sell him is a problem. Big up, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, spoke about it again. Big up, Kevin. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Absolutely. Fun show. You can't be a close friend to Garnacho and not behave like that. The goats don't party with their dogs. Absolutely. The difference was that Garner was a vocal and Kobe was a quiet lad but immature. Yep. They're all bad as one another, ultimately, isn't it? Morning, Asif. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. I know Bobby. I know he's trolling. He's going to get blocked in a minute. Big up, Asif. Sal, these players should accept the lack of playing minutes when they are the reason for limited foot. You need to look exactly, Asif. You need to look at yourself in the mirror, isn't it? At the end of the day, that's what these guys need to do. They need to look at themselves in the mirror, and that's what they say. Dave, morning, Sal. You see, Mainy's brother nonsense has taken the attention away from Mainy's cameo. People have already forgotten how decent he came on. He stubbed on, but we're wide open like a bagel, though, won't we, Dave? Wide open like a bagel. Exactly what we talk about, even if we play a 4-3-3. Francho, we need to do a full sale to get in a proper owner. Absolutely. The owner has to be on the same page as the manager. Then players will sit tight and knowing that their room is absolutely good comment, Funcho. I hope you're well. Of course, Samuel, sell Bruno Fernandes, Diogo Dalot, and buy Andre Elliot Anderson. Edison, I'm not too sure about. He's fallen off a little bit. Kevin, hope we beat Aston Villa. That is, it's your birthday. On my birthday. Big up, my friend. Big up, guys. Guys, I don't like justifying unprofessionalism with unprofessionalism. I don't like saying that, oh, Pogba did this, so this is right. Or Pogba did this, so everyone. I am angry at every single person. When you come on this channel, you've got to be careful who you're talking to, right? When I come from, I've just mentioned the last 20, 40, 50, 60 years of Man United right now on this channel, which no one else, no other content creator does. No matter who it is, who down tools. I've just criticized Paul Scholes. I've just criticized some of the class of 92 guys today. And then people feel it necessary to bring in Paul Pogba. You know, Paul Pogba used to dance in front of in front of a legend like Jose Mourinho when they'd lost the game. I don't want to talk about Paul Pogba. I don't want to talk about Kobe Mainoo. And I agree with Bruno. Should be eventually moved on as well. I've said that numerous amounts of times. People just want to make it a sinister reason. They just want to bring sinisterness into the stream. And we don't have that, to be honest with you. And if anyone brings in sinister in the stream, but no more Stretford Post for you, my guy. And you would no more voice for you, mate, because no one cares what you say. Prince, I believe Mainoo, Garnacho, and Rashford are friends. I'm not surprised. Let's mention that. Exactly, mate. And I think he said it up there, mate. Those who are friends with your enemies, you got to be careful. You know what I mean? And I think that's very, very true. You know what I mean? That's very true. This needs to be taken out. I said it, guys. Asbestos. It needs to be taken out completely. It needs to be eradicated from what Man United are. Man United completely, guys. Absolutely. Guys, I want to thank everyone for joining me. Great chat, of course. Thank you so much, guys. Please, before I leave, please, could you kindly, a lot of people are not smashing a like. Could you smash a like on the video, guys? That'd be absolutely fantastic. Subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. And also put your notifications on. If you guys can do that for me, that'd be fantastic. Have a great Thursday, guys. See you a bit later. Enjoy yourself. And guys, we'll bring on Sunday, man. Bring on Sunday. It's interesting. I'll be doing 2 watch-alongs on Sunday, guys. Got the Villa game and I got the AFCON. So, guys, make sure you join me for that. It's going to be a laugh. Take it easy, guys. Peace.